Welcome, everybody. This is the Independent Mind Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm with my boy Jovanni, and I am DJ Mixxwell. First and foremost, happy birthday, brother.
Hey man, thanks, dude. It's been a hell of a day. Super busy, really grinding it out on my birthday, rather than just relaxing and enjoying it. It's a Monday. You kind of have to go for it.
That's a pure independent mind right there when you're not out there celebrating and you're just putting in work.
Well, it's just at the end of the day, man. I'm turning 26, or I am 26 now. It's just another day in paradise. Got to make the best out of it.
Yep, exactly. So I think for people who don't really know us, I think a little background would be good. A little bit about us. We've known each other for quite a long time, from the troubled years to the years like now, grinding and putting in work. What do you think? Let me get your take on this. What do you think it was that sparked that fire between you, me, and just what kind of separated us from our old group of friends?
Just getting straight to the meat and gritty, huh? Just right off the bat, huh?
That's how we got to do it, man. Bring value right away.
I'll tell you what, man. Like, I'm not sure if I share this memory with like everyone else that was in that same car, or like this is just one that kind of stuck with me throughout the years. But I remember, I forgot what the hell we were doing. We are just like up there by Arborview. I was driving like my 2002 Honda Accord, and the car was absolutely packed. And I remember, like, for a moment we all stopped and we kind of like looked at each other and we're like, hey man, like this right now, this moment right now, this bond that we have right now, all five of us, in 10 years, I wonder where we'll be if we'll still keep this bond, and like how well we'll be doing in life. And I think we're about 16 at the time. So yeah, like about 10 years later, man, like here we are. And like for me, every time I look back to like my youth, that's probably one of the most impactful moments where I had a plan made right then and there. Like right then and there, I was like, okay, I am going to get through all this stuff. I am going to get through all this mess that we're going through, like all this trouble that we're getting into. You know, this is all going to come to pass. There's going to come a time where this has got to end. And I made the decision to stop it at 18. The day before I hit 18 is the day I quit smoking pot, and just like went completely dry from then, because, you know, stopped doing anything that could have a permanent consequence. But that was just a plan that I had that started from literally sitting there. We were high as hell inside of my Honda Accord, just, you know, trying to lay out the next 10 years of our life. Yeah, that was pretty much it, man. Like seeing someone like you, like we grew up, we kind of went through the same things, and not many people got fully out. Now we're seeing, you know, more and more good folks starting to like resettle, starting to, you know, get everything together, start getting their plans laid out. And it's awesome. But I feel like for you specifically, was it music that helped you get completely out of that? I feel like that's what you took priority over.
Yeah, it was music. And we had an old friend, and using his name in here just isn't really necessary. But I remember not really going to school much at all, and just being around all the drugs and all that, and just letting my loyalty get the best of me, and was never really, besides drinking and smoking, just wasn't doing the stuff that they were doing. And we used to sit and talk about the raid that would happen, the raid. And once I got into
a damn holiday incoming, like when are we going to get raided?
Seriously, like Christmas or something. Christmas. Yeah, we used to sit there and talk about the raid and what we would do when it happened, and if it happened, more so when it happened.
You guys would like plan out like your escape plan, like, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. No, we would literally sit in the backyard and be like, assuming that we would be in the backyard when it would happen. Yeah. And we would talk about what walls we would jump over and stuff like that. And
about how old were you? Like when this all happened? This like 16, 17 as well?
Nah, man, like 15, because I started DJing right around not too long after that. So basically, I went to go visit an old friend that was living in California at the time. And my first night out there, my old buddy, got invited to a house party. So we went to the party that night, and there was probably like 350 people at this house. It's a huge party. And people were so nice to me because I was from Vegas. And at that party, there was a DJ going on, and it was the first time kind of being around that type of environment. And later that night, I found out about EDC. And once when I came back to Vegas, that kind of like just sparked the whole idea into my head where it was like, yo, I want to be that guy who was DJing. Like that was amazing. And so I did. I came back, bought my equipment, and it's just slowly but surely started coming around. I had to wait a long time to finally get my speakers. You know, I would be staring at my DJ deck, just pretending I was DJing a party. And but it comes full circle with that one friend that I mentioned, because once when things once when things are starting to happen in DJing house parties, that friend ended up getting raided.
Oh
And
man.
he called me. I was hanging out with some people, and he calls me crying. He called me crying, saying that he got raided. So I tried to be there for him. But before all that, I was already kind of separating myself and trying to bring him along with us, with the people that I was hanging around with doing music. And he would kind of come around once in a while, and he was obviously doing a bunch of other things. And once when that first raid happened, I tried to be there for a good friend. And, you know, he kind of just threw it all back into my face. So as time was going on, DJing just kept happening, more house parties. And then it started going to doing hookah lounges, and then DJ.
Kazen's.
Yeah, hookah masters. and it just started to progress towards venues on Fremont. And then as that was going on, I was going finally went back to school senior year, and I would stay out till about 2, 3 in the morning DJing down on Fremont, like Beauty Bar, places like that, and wake up 3 hours later and go to school, all while
Oh
getting
man.
12 and a half credits and passing 4 of my proficiencies.
Yeah.
So it was the music. It was the music that was getting me away from that bad crowd of people. And I started to realize that my loyalty was just not with them no more.
Your
Like,
loyalty was with music and the grind.
yeah. And my little nephew, his other uncle, they had like a collective going on. And I remember asking him, like, yo, how can I be a part of that? And he was like, your little ass needs to stay out of trouble and get good grades. Like, not just get good grades, but more so just stay out of trouble and do your schoolwork. So I took it to heart. I took it to heart. And that's when, like I said, went back to school senior year, DJing weeknights, got 12 and a half credits, four proficiency tests that I passed. And that was about it, man. It all just started progressing from there. And thankfully, I got into music, and that's what got me away from our old set of friends.
That is awesome, dude. I would say though, man, like probably just recently, like one of the most fulfilling things that I've seen, man, is like us connecting more, just you and me personally, more than we were, a year, 2 years ago. And then just a small amount of people that we've reached out to since then from the past that are also doing well and
Yeah.
kind of, reigniting that same familiarity that you had with them in the past, But this time, rather than talking about like, the next dragon you're going to chase, you're talking about the next power move that you're looking to make. And like nothing is more fulfilling than looking at someone that you used to get high with every single day and talking about how you're going to better the future or how you're going to evolve as a person, or like, for me, that's extremely fulfilling. I would definitely like to do a lot more of that. So
Yeah, no, I agree, man. And it's not with everybody. It's a very, very small collective of people that has really been like that. Um, Me and you had that friendship that just steadily stayed. Me and you were both on our our own grinds. And I remember we had a car ride one day, and we were talking about the day when we would be able to get together on one of our, get together
yeah,
on something basically. And oddly enough, just not too long ago, I was looking, I don't know what made me think about it, but I went onto Google and I started searching like for inmates and stuff like that. And it was just a wild thing to be seeing like some of our old collective of friends like just sitting in prison right now.
yeah.
And it was just like, oh man, thank God we're way past that.
Well, we could just hope the best for them. To like, it's a one-time thing. They fucked up, and
Yeah,
hopefully are able to get
I
past
mean,
that.
for some people it isn't. Like that old friend that I talked about that got raided. He didn't just get raided once, and he
Yeah,
didn't just get raided twice. He got raided 3 times.
yeah. It's unfortunate,
So
man.
yeah, so it is what it is. And that's what that's just life. We were just always on a different path. But let me ask you this. You had started a company called Fit Prep. I don't think I've ever really got to ask you, other than just kind of knowing because I knew you were working out and stuff like that. What was the initial start of that company for Fit Prep? Like, how did that come about?
Oh, okay. So it was literally, how often you're going through life and you have a problem that presents itself, something that either you run into overall, like something that's a problem for you, something that you see that's a problem for somebody, and you're like, huh, it'd be nice if there was blank for that, right? If you just like, you wish that someone would do blank, that someone would provide this service or this sort of product.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happened with me. Is I was a personal trainer. I was spending a crap ton of time meal prepping, looking into nutrition, looking into, the proper foods to eat for my type of body, and like all these different things. And I had clients, I had like around 40 different people that I was training. And no matter how bad I kicked their ass at the gym, no matter how many times it was a week, their results would not be what it should be.
Mm.
And for most people, some people absolutely killed it. But for other people, they're really hard stuck. Or their weight loss would spike and then decline and then spike and then decline, and it wouldn't be consistent. So I kind of started reading into it, and I started asking them what's going on. And I found that every single person's problem was food, not knowing what to eat, not knowing how much to eat, not having time for the cooking, not having the money to constantly, to hire a private chef. Just all kind of came down to food. At the end of the day, like, a lot of these people are much like us. They're focused on the grind, they're focused on work. The last thing they want to worry about is having to cook a healthy meal 10x. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what started with one client I got really close with, still friends to date. What started with her, she told her aunt told somebody else. Next thing you know, I'm making 1,000 meals out of my mother's house. I was 18 at the time. And it's like, yo, this is not legit. Like, this is not okay, man. Like, we cannot be, you know, making 1,000 meals twice a week out of my mother's house to distribute throughout town.
You had a
If
lot
you
of
want to
meals
see,
going on.
if you want to see what a Cuban sweat factory looks like, man, like you get some video footage from those days. And like, I mean, also, I'm so grateful to have my family to like help me through that, and Devin was like my partner in the gym, so he became like my partner in the business and everything, and like we grew this baby from literally nothing to where, hey, I was making a pretty good living. I was able to like help out my mom. I was able to help out my surroundings. And it went really good for about 5 years, dude. But it all literally started from seeing a problem and thinking of a solution and sending it. That's the best thing I feel like you can do for like any sort of adventure that you want to take or any sort of
Absolutely
business decision, man. Like find what works for you to motivate you, to drive you, and then just do it. Like for me specifically, if I put my back against a wall where it's like either you go forward, you get to the stage, you make it work, or you crumble, I will always make it work. So for an example, for the real estate thing, now I'm a realtor. Like what made me start that up was I had just gotten let go from my previous job. And it's like, okay, I have two options, right? Well, three options, I guess two. I could either make my own money and work for myself again, like fund my own currency. Don't let anyone determine how much I make, but myself, or I could survive. And I felt like it'd be better to take that risk.
That's beautiful because you often hear very successful people talking about how the best way to create like a product or anything of that sort is by literally finding a problem and making a solution for it. And that's exactly what you did.
Yeah. I would say that's every innovation. And I mean, it even goes a little bit wider than that, especially today's time where it's so easy to market. Like there's so many different avenues where there's so many people that are connected online that even if there's a product that already exists, an innovation that already exists, but say you come up with that idea as well, it kind of just hits you, or you want to pursue that same thing, you can make your own version of that very same product and distribute it to a completely different demographic. I mean, there are like we have 7 billion people, over 7 billion people on this earth. Like that one person who made that product that you think that you thought of an idea for is not reaching all those people. They're not even reaching 1 million probably.
Yeah. And I think what a lot of people think too, who may think that it's not possible, when you do think about how many people there are, you don't need everybody to be along board with you to be buying. You only need a small percentage of it to be making a living by not working for somebody else. And I think that's amazing. That's what you did. And then also you talk about the Cuban sweat factory.
How dare you?
Being at your mom's.
Yeah.
So many people think that it's very easy to just get your own shop, do all that. So what was the process like of actually getting a storefront and getting that kitchen that you got and switching from your mom's house to an actual place?
Yeah. So getting our first, brick and mortar, similar to kind of like renting a house, renting a piece of property. They're going to scan your credit. They're going to make sure that you approve. You're going to put down a down payment, and then you're going to beat it. You're going to rent it, lease out monthly. That's a pretty easy. It's honestly not too difficult to rent out a location. They just run some checks on you, and if you're good to go, you're in. The thing that was difficult for me specifically was the licensing. Since we got in on meal prep at such an early time, many of the officials that we'd be speaking with during the licensing process or even health inspectors would have zero clue what the hell we're talking about. So as far as like advising us on what sort of license we need, um, we were in a lot of gray areas. So that was the biggest challenge, was doing the research to find out the right licensing that we need to just to make sure we cover our ass in the back end.
That's awesome.
You know, with any other, you know, anything else that's repetitive or like the other people are doing already, the licensing will be much easier. It's these people have invested so much of the fees that they take into creating nice visual aids on how to get licenses.
Now, was an LLC, was that needed for what you were doing as well? Was that just part of all the paperwork and just making yourself legit? Was that needed to get a storefront property?
To be honest, I don't believe so. No. We went with S corporation, with the S corp, um, C corp, as opposed to an LLC, just for the extra layer of security of, you know, protection to
Can you
us.
elaborate what that is for somebody who may not know?
To be honest, Google would probably be a way better friend than me. Luckily, I had my brother-in-law helping me throughout this whole process. So, um,
Which is very important to have somebody there as a
yes,
business partner who is very familiar with the business side of it all.
yeah,
I'm
he
sure
knew
that I'm
how to
sure that
start.
helped a lot.
100%. He knew how to start a business. I had the vision for it. What caused me to fail that business venture was that I lost the vision for it and
Mm.
lack of knowledge of how to successfully run a business. A
What do
long
you think
term.
what do you think it was that made you lose that vision on it?
Um, honestly, a series of things like, you know, emotional conflict with other people plays a role into it. I would say trying to worry too much about the numbers kind of allow, like, I don't want to say being around the numbers, more like trying to micromanage everything and trying to like keep everything completely in control allowed me to, or caused me to lose that excitement, that sort of like fun and creativity that came behind it. If I were to go back now, the biggest thing I would do, and I would probably advise to anybody who's doing a business, is get your systems down. Get your systems down, but not like short-term systems. Get your systems to scale. That was
Mm.
by far my biggest mistake, was having half-assed systems where I would be relaying instructions or I'd be, you know, hands-on showing, as opposed to producing a video or a scripture or something, you know, like some sort of text of exactly like carefully chosen words, carefully chosen content to literate exactly what I want done. So
Wow.
I would say for me that was definitely a huge, huge hiccup, man. Like huge, huge hiccup. But hey, you live and you learn.
Which
It
was
was a
cool
great
because
experience.
you
Yeah.
because you were really doing your thing with it. And it just goes to show that, just as always, anything that you put your mind to, you do it. You may have failed, but it's good that you can reflect back on it and see that you were able to pick up things that for your next venture. Okay, I need a better system. There's other things that you, just so many learning lessons that you got from that,
Yeah.
than just being like, oh, I failed. Time to go back to a regular job. Like, wasn't for me,
Yeah.
because like people get that sense of failure and fail something once and just think that it's done from there. But it's like so many people take an L and think it's a loss, when all reality is just a learning lesson. That's
It's
all it
just a
really
step.
is.
That's literally it. I think something that a lot of people would benefit from is honestly analysis paralysis. You've heard me say this many times,
Yeah.
where you're trying to over analyze how you're going to do something, or you know, over plan, you overthink things to the point where you don't do it, never do anything about it. I think that's something that plagues a lot of people. I see it a lot. You know, like how many times have you spoken to someone and like, you know, they're telling you about this great idea that they have for a business or this great like thing that they want to try, and then you don't hear from them for a couple months, and you talk to them, and you bring it up, and you just see it in their face, man. Like it's so sad seeing it in their face. Like they're like, "Oh no, he's gonna
Like,
ask me
no,
about
you
that
quit.
thing."
You quit on it already.
Yeah, it's like it's so upsetting, and it's upsetting to them, and upsetting for you to be in that position. And I think honestly, will probably like leads someone like that, like not doing what they set their mind to, is often just overanalyzing, starting to doubt, man. Like our minds are so powerful in positive and negative ways where
Yeah.
they'll make you, they'll really have you out there doubting yourself hard. I mean, if
Yep.
you let it, you will get nothing done, and you will feel
Yeah. I
sorry for yourself over and over again every single day.
completely agree. I've seen it so many times, like with people with music,
Yeah.
and it's just a sad thing, because it's like they get that idea that they want to do it. And then just for some people, it's just some people are just not even willing to just put money aside to even try to start it. Like they see the cost of equipment and they think that, oh no, that's unreasonable. But then those same people will be out buying a pair of Jordans or going on vacation. And it's like, yo, what are you doing? Like that money on you could have just skipped out on Cali once that you've already been there 45 times and you could have just bought some DJ equipment. Stop going to that music festival. Stop going. Shit, a lot of times I think it's really just stop going out to eat. Like cook some food.
Guilty. I'm so guilty.
And it's like,
Oh,
just stop doing, just cut back on a couple things and just invest. Once you make that investment, you're there. You're already halfway there. Just do it. And I've just seen that so many times with music itself. People will ask me, hey, can you teach me how to DJ, producing, anything of that sort? And then they're just done. Like they're done before they even started. They think that it's impossible to book some gigs. It's impossible to do this or that. And all what you got to do is just do it. Don't overthink it. Just do it. Like it's so simple. Once when you do it, that
just
snowball that snowball effect just it goes. I think a lot of people don't realize that is once when you start the momentum of something, it more than most of the time it will go as long as you're putting in effort. You buy equipment, you start practicing. Next thing you know, you're talking to another DJ. You can send him a mix, you can send him this, and you have a gig in no time. And
Yeah.
once when you have that first gig, the next gig comes. Like I have a friend who I used to hang out with quite a bit, still do, but obviously as we grow up, it's not like younger hangouts.
Yeah.
But he would see Dylan. He would see that I would go to his house in the morning, be like, man, I have no DJ gigs right now. Not as if I wasn't trying. I would just go through the shows I already did, go back to his house later, be like, bro, I got 4 gigs booked already.
Nice. Hell yeah.
But it's just that it's a weak mentality that a lot of people have. And I'm not sure if it's their fault. I just don't think they've tried hard enough to realize that they can just get past that barrier.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely has to be a DGAF attitude to it sometimes where
100%.
like I mean, I honestly believe like deep inside innately, if you speak to someone face to face about an idea, something you want to do, I think a high majority of the time they're going to be pretty positive. They're going to either empower that or like maybe they won't give you the response you want, but maybe that's an error on your side for setting a sort of an expectation of what you expect from them. But overall, I think each of us have a way to contribute. And often we do get, analysis paralysis, or we have a roadblock show up and we just stop. And
Yeah.
the biggest thing that I took away from what you said and what I've seen you, throughout the last 10 years is consistency and perseverance. Like, no matter how low you have been, no matter how dark the path has looked ahead, you have continued through. Just kept truckling, just kept moving, kept moving. And like being an outsider watching this, it's fueled me. I don't look at that and like, screw that dude. Like, dude, that's a beautiful thing, man. That's really empowering. Like to see someone at such a young age have like this sort of work ethic and this sort of like consistency and perseverance, like through any sort of bullshit. Like you're just keep going, you keep trucking, man. And I really think, like, I mean, with all my new real estate coaches and everything, all the different trainers I have, the biggest thing everyone's saying is be consistent and just keep going. Like it won't work the first time, it won't work the 50th time. You just keep going though, keep doing it, and eventually will start to pay off.
Yeah, and to bring it back with the music, I mean, I had to just keep on doing that with making beats until my whole goal was to have people rapping or singing on my beats. And man, when I first started, my beats sucked. And they're still not there. But through one beat, two beats, next thing you know, it's 30 beats later, 40 beats later, I'm finally just getting over that hump to finally get people to rap on my beats, So it's like it took 40, 50, 60, 80, 90 tries.
Shout out to the upcoming EP.
Yeah, shout out to the upcoming EP, Stay Focused, and the album Pressure Point.
There you go.
But if you look in my library, I started to label beats because I got tired of like trying to think of a name. So I just label everything now as Hip Hop Vibe 001, Hip Hop Vibe 003. You know what I'm saying? And kept going. And just for those series, I'm just at 200. I did 199 a few days ago.
That's a lot. That's a lot of cooking.
It's a lot of cooking, and it's just like what you said. You can't quit on that first try, second try. Like I would show some people my beats, and you can just tell that they sucked. No interest from the person who I'm showing them. And then just came a long way to now, to where after beat in, beat out, I'm finally just getting to that point. So I think that's a great thing that you said, to just always keep on going, even though something may not work. That's absolutely brilliant.
Isn't it such a funny thing how like even in our adult age, whenever we make some sort of creation, it's like, hey, mommy, hey, daddy, look what I made. Look what I made. Like, it's such a natural thing ingrained in us. Like, whenever we create something, really we're so proud of it. We're just like, hey, I'm going to find like the person closest to me who I think would somewhat relate. I'm going to share this with them. And like, like, why do we need that so much? I mean, at the end of the day, like it's fueling us, right? We're doing it for us because we like doing it and it's for our career. Why do we give such a damn about so-and-so's opinion? I mean,
man, I don't know. That I've never even really thought about that. And it just has to be like the human nature. If you're blessed to have a mom or dad or a guardian, whoever, that when you're going to school or you're doing something at home and you just want to show them, you're just so proud. And it just seems to be that, I don't know, man, that's a very fascinating thing on why like someone else's opinion matters, because I'm still like that to this day. Like I make a dope beat, bro, I'm sending the beat before it's even done to somebody. And and it's like, you still got so much more to go. What are you doing? Just wait.
You just can't wait. You're just like a little kid, like,
it's Mom. Like I just drew I just colored in the coolest dinosaur ever. And I need like that. I need that acceptance. But I don't know, man. But I think as you go on, and something that I've done too, was just start to get that balance to where, okay, you may show somebody but just don't take their opinion to heart. I think Gary V,
That's the
he
hard
he
part, man.
Gary V made a good post on Instagram, and it was like an illustration, and it was like a picture of him and then a picture of this person, and this person. And it was like one person saying, "You're the GOAT," another person saying, "You suck," and then another person saying like just like a bad or negative compliment. And all of his response in the illustration was the same. And I thought that was the most brilliant thing. And it's just something that has kind of stuck with me, to where if someone compliments you, cool. Someone says it's not that good, cool. Someone says you still got a long way to go, cool. And I think, I don't know, you just kind of have to learn not to take everything too hard, but it's still, again, in that human nature to just want to show people and, I guess, get the acceptance from it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, no matter like how strong we are, like it seems like when you really take, like you really think that someone's gonna like this and you show them and they don't like it or they give you a negative response, that hurts. That hurts
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my heart. Like it's
Yeah.
just so
Nah. And
painful. And
I have fell victim into that victim
yeah.
mentality more than a couple times, to where I've showed someone a beat and you just don't get a reaction from them. And you're just like, God, that hurt.
Cool.
I don't even want to show you ever again in my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And then you finally make something dope. It's like, hey, listen to this.
Oh man. That's
but
pretty
that
damn
brings me
accurate.
to my next point that you had brought up, realty. And you've always been that person where you just have bounced around to so many things, bro. I'm just like, I just have stayed with music. I'm more on the simple end of it all.
Yeah.
But I've seen you bounce around to so many things, and it's just like, what's that driving factor? Like, is it just ingrained in you? Is it
Dude,
something that, are you watching something, reading something? Like, how have you been able to just try this? Oh, doesn't work. Try this. Nope, doesn't work. Try this. Nope. And then now your path is to real estate. So what's in that in you? Like, what's the secret sauce?
I think there's almost like diminishing returns. I feel like when you do one thing for too long, there's a point to where you become good enough. As say, it takes you 2 years to understand 99% of the concept, but then it takes you another 15 years to understand the other 1%. I don't really see the value in spending 15 years to learn another 1% when you can learn 99% of the concept in 2 years. So
awesome. That's a great way to look at it.
At the end of the day, like, I may not be a master of none, but I'll be a jack of many. I totally butchered that, but I'm sure you kind of understand.
Jack of all trades, master
jack
of
of
none.
all trades. Yeah.
Yeah.
And dude, it's honestly a matter of, man, like we only live one life. Like, there's gonna come a time, pretty kind of soon, that we're all gonna be dead. Like, that we're wiped.
It's
and
inevitable.
like, it's a matter of like who we touched, and how we impacted this earth, how we contributed to our future, the human future, of how we'll be remembered and how we'll help influence the next generations. And for me, as someone young, still trying to figure out how I want to contribute, how I'm best suited to contribute, I'm somebody who just hasn't figured it out yet. I'm someone who has an interest in one thing, and I will full send it, because I want nothing more
Yes, you will.
than to be able I want nothing more than to be able to contribute to the greater sphere.
Yeah,
Not on a
you
small
always talk
scale, on a
about that
very
too.
large scale. I will be unhappy until I achieve that. Happiness doesn't mean nothing to me so long as I can get to this point.
And for anyone listening right now, he absolutely means that.
Yeah. Like,
Absolutely.
it's almost sickening to a degree that I genuinely believe that a lot of us live our life very selfishly, where it's
Mm,
a matter of what I can consume, what I can obtain, what I could, what I can have, what I could hold in. Like, dude, you're about to be dead in like, 50, 60 years. Like, if you're lucky, like,
if you're lucky.
why are you trying to accumulate and consume so much? I feel we got to set some sort of plan.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a whole nother thing as well. Like, you have to have a plan, but also be like patient with yourself. Know that you're not going to get there just because, Jimmy and Sally over there are, millionaires at age 22. Does not mean that you're late.
Mm,
Just
that's
because,
facts.
a neighbor next to you is making more than you, it does not mean that you're late. Like, give it time. Just work towards something, learn to pick up skills. And as you pick up skills, you keep going. You grow from there. And for me, my goal is to contribute. So right now, my main focus is accumulating wealth and also learning how to better communicate with people.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's a great way of thinking about it too. And once you had said that, I just kind of pictured like a fighter jet just going out to war, and then they go out, they go handle the mission, and they come back to home base, regroup, figure out what's the next plan, and then go back out again. That's exactly what I just pictured when you were saying that. Like, you go out, you go try this, you do however much you can of it, come back, regroup, go back out to the next mission.
Yeah, it's really sad seeing. The scariest thing to me is having straight security, like where someone's like, yeah, nothing against these people, man, because God's like, they have their own plan. That's what works for them. Not everyone needs to have my same vision or my same goal for me to
Yeah.
get along, or like. But for me specifically, my biggest fear is, yeah, I'll retire in 30 years, like from this
Yeah.
position. To me, staying at the same place doing the same thing for a long amount of years reminds me of a bad psychedelic trip where you're just in a loop.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're just in a loop where you're waking up,
Just stuck
you're
in a
brushing
rut.
your teeth, you're getting to work, you're clocking in, you're talking to similar people on a similar tone, repeating the same shit, and then
Yeah.
going home, ordering food, going to sleep, rinsing, repeating. That repetition, that same cycle. Like, if I find myself doing the same thing like 3 days in a row, I'll start losing my damn mind. Like, it's
Yeah. And
just,
people do that
yeah.
5 days a week for only just 48 hours of break.
Yeah.
And
Um,
it's just so mind blowing to me. And that's just one thing that keeps me going with my grind, to where it's like, I can't do that, And I know some people, I don't knock it with other people. But something about going to work 5 days a week for just 2 days off doesn't sit well with me. Doesn't sit well with me at all. I can't do that. But
yeah,
even if you
it's
got to, like, if you're going to work and doing that, you have got to find the energy and strength to put that money into a goal or dream of yours.
thank
Something,
you. Yep.
whether even if you keep that same job, like if it's a good security job, find something that you have interest in and get another source of income in. If you are only going to have those 2 days off, and you got one of those jobs to where you have a couple vacations a year, have that second source of income. So when you go on that week vacation, make it worth it. Go big, don't cut out some meals or doing something that you can't do on the weekend because you got to budget for this, like, if that's what, but then again, everyone has their own thing. And
Well,
just,
some people get really lucky, man. For some people, they have their dream job right now, and like their schedule may be 9 to 5, and there may be this like societal stigma around 9 to 5. Hell, we're over here talking about how bad a 9 to 5 is for us, but for them, you know, that's them. They love their work. They love what they're participating in. And at the end of the day, like that's huge. That's great for them. Like I'm jealous of that. Like I wish I had that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
for me, dude, I'm hopping around like a damn jackrabbit. Like, and but that's what keeps me sane. That's what keeps me excited. That's what keeps
And
me
that's
engaged.
also the difference between someone with a entrepreneur mind and someone who doesn't. It's not a bad thing if you don't have that. Like
Yeah.
what you said, some people do have that happiness, whether if it's going to that job or just having that happiness of just knowing that they got that security. You know, some people
Yeah.
just want that security, and good for you. And that's just the difference between entrepreneurship. It's just not for everybody. Trying to do multiple things and having things not pay out for a long time, just keeping that bigger picture goal in mind. Some people just don't want that, you know?
No, I get it, dude. One of my very close pals, he's like, he was I was talking to him and I asked him like, you know, what's his goal or what's his dream? And he's like, dude, you know what would be so nice? Be so damn nice. I'd like I'd like to be a house husband. I would like to just stay at home,
Stay at home, dad.
not have to work. And my wife brings in all the bread. He's like, you know how nice that'd be? And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you must have lost your damn mind. Like, I'm like, you're crazy. Like, I would lose my damn mind. You know,
Yeah,
like,
being home that long, I think I
Yeah.
would do the same thing as well.
and you know, that kind of like some people just want like the security and stability. And then there's crazy people like us, bro, just like to chase a damn dragon. Like, I don't know what to say. Like we
Yeah.
like constantly not knowing if next month we're gonna be able to live.
Yeah,
Like
and
something
you
about
want
it
you want to know something
would be
too? Oddly
exciting.
enough,
Yeah.
I have found some of my most happiness with very little money.
Yeah,
I found some
that's
of my
deep.
most happiness with very little money.
That's deep.
Absolutely struggling, but just knowing that I got those DJ gigs and some of them aren't paying. No. But I'm out there.
Yo, you know what, man? That kind of brings up like just right there what you just said. Like uh, taking these DJ gigs, you're not getting paid. Why the hell would I do something that I'm not getting paid for? That's a common attitude for a lot of people.
Very
Where
common attitude.
they get presented with something or they get asked something and they'll either say I don't know, or they'll say I can't do that, or they'll demand to be paid. And often the best way to grow is to take every opportunity that comes.
Oh, 100%. I can't stress that enough to people who want to start DJing. Like, don't get me wrong, not every DJ gig now is for free. But it's like when you want to start coming up and all that, like that used to be how I got so many DJ gigs. I was just taking every opportunity.
Right.
And some people wouldn't want to take those free gigs. And let me tell you something. Some of those free gigs have led to some crazy opportunities,
Right.
you know, or even taking some of those free gigs that have led into, well, hey, if I stop DJing today, I lived part of my dream. I may not have been all around the world, but hey, opening up for some of my favorite artists and may not have been getting paid. I'm in it for the love of my craft. And to me, I'll take that any day, you know? But that mentality of not wanting to do something for free, it's just, hey, you're gonna miss a lot of things if you don't do that. You know, especially once when you start taking those free gigs, that falls back on the snowball effect I was talking about earlier. You take those, a venue owner, someone else who's there, who's throwing events, anybody, a regular person who's just there for the night, they may want you for a wedding. They may want you for, hell, a house party.
Yeah.
Anything to just keep yourself in front of people's faces, to me, was always the biggest goal. And that's the reason why I took a lot of free DJ gigs and still will now, depending on. Um, but that is just one thing I always tell people when they talk to me about DJing, that like, how do you get gigs? Take the free ones.
Yeah.
Take the free
100%.
ones and just do it for the opportunities. Like I can't make that any easier to say. It's just, it creates opportunities. That's all what it is at the end of the day.
That's exactly what it is, man. Like I recently read a quote. I'm gonna butcher it, so I'm just gonna like express the idea of it. It was if you ever get asked if you can do something, say yes by default. Just even if you don't know how to do it, say yes and then learn while you do it. And
Yeah,
something as little as that has led, for me personally, in to take these huge avenue changes. I
I
mean,
agree. I've
where
been
you,
on the same way with stagehand gigs as well. Like
yeah, just do
getting
something
offered
like,
to do lighting or audio. And it's like, yeah, I've done a little audio setting up my own speakers, but taking that, saying, yeah, I can do that. And then walking in for a client who's spending 6 to 7 figures on a 3-day event,
right.
and it's like that. I said, yeah, and showed up to the freelance company and kind of looking over at somebody like, hey, I haven't done this in a while. Can you just refresh my mind?
Yeah. Like, I mean,
Act like you've been there before.
yeah, no, like honestly, often, there's a reason fake it till you make it such a big thing. Often that's what you're gonna have to do to get entry into different fields or like different things. Just start going for it and you'll start getting a feel for it. Like as long as you do your due diligence and like actually give a damn, right? Like you're prideful and you don't want to deliver a bad product. You don't want to do a bad job. You will bust your ass to make sure that you learn at least some sort of basic understanding of how to properly do this. And
Yeah.
you do it enough times, like all it takes that first job to be able to show that job to somebody else, which may lead to another job. And then now you have two jobs on something
Yeah.
that you don't know what the hell you're doing, but like you're growing and you never would charge up, an absurd amount. But if someone asks you if you can do something, say yeah, and then learn along the way. That's
Yeah.
definitely the way to go.
Yeah. Even with DJing, I've had to do that multiple times. Like I used to decline doing people's like reception parties or weddings in general, because it just used to be like, oh God, a wedding. And I think it was eventually like my mom who told me, she was like, just do it. What are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
just accept the gig. And next thing you know, that was the best thing that I could have started doing, because any DJs listening out there, that's where the money is. Doing weddings is the money. So take those opportunities if you get them. And I'm so glad I listened to moms, because moms was right. Just do it. And not only that as well, taking those gigs, just on a DJ end, like I would take those and get the music that people want for those. And it just made me that much more comfortable when another client would hit me up to do a wedding or reception, because I used to think like, oh God, I don't really have wedding music. And then next
Right.
thing you know, I do one, I do another one. Next thing you know, I got a whole bunch of music with a bunch of stuff I wouldn't listen to, but it's all stuff that got me more comfortable accepting each gig. And now I'm getting more comfortable with it. And yeah, I think it's exactly what you got to do. Just jump, leap, take that opportunity. So I think with that being said, speaking of taking leaps, you took a leap doing real estate. Two things. How would you get into that? And when I see now in today's times, it seems to be that there's so many real estate agents. And it
There's a
reminds
lot.
me, of music and DJs. There's
Yeah.
a lot of DJs. Is that bad?
Um, it's competitive for sure. I haven't really thought about that comparison, but I guess you could kind of say that it's something. It's kind of similar. There's a lot of competition for sure in the real estate market, and the main thing is overall like expanding your sphere, and then creating an image, having people connect to that image, and just overall being consistent. What made me get into real estate actually was I thought about the skills that I currently have and the skills that I could learn, fairly quickly. Like I mentioned, I got into this right after being fired. I was fired as a sous chef at some senior assisted living, right? And so from a chef to, you know, to real estate agents, a pretty big jump.
Yes, it
But
is.
throughout that job, I picked up different skills. I had a lot of time to learn a lot of different things about marketing, about design, about photography, videography, and then I kind of put that together with my past business experience, with my want to work for myself. I combined that up, and that kind of left me with a few options, right, of something I can do. And then I started to look at what I could need help with, right? Being in like, I was working for myself, by myself for the most part. And then I was being a sous chef. Pretty much you're not socializing with people outside of your immediate group. So I felt that my biggest problem was being able to walk up to a stranger, make a connection to add them to my sphere.
Mm.
Real estate's a career that absolutely requires that. It requires for you to be able to meet people and instantly connect to them, show them your best side and extract their best sides overall to make a really good transaction.
And
Um,
I want to bring something up real quick
yeah,
because we'll get back into your real estate, but you had brought up the sous chef and we were talking about just taking different opportunities. When you were being that sous chef, correct me if I'm wrong, you started taking different opportunities like building a website or anything of that sort. That's just so dope to me. And
yeah.
that's just another thing that like, dude, you're really that guy. Like
Well,
you really
come on, man, you're making me blush. No, it was one of those things where I was the sous chef for this luxurious senior living, and they were struggling to find residents because it's such a tight niche that they're trying to target. So I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm just gonna go have a little look, just from a third side, a third point of view. Just gonna check out their website. And I check out their website, it's completely outdated. Like, you go to that website and it just screams scam, right? And then you go to their social media and you go to like any of their online presence and it's not there. It's
Hmm.
non-existent.
Yeah.
So then I'm wondering, like, okay, you're running a physical business and you have zero marketing going towards digital. So I reached out to the owners and I, sat her down and kind of like, look, I can help build you a site. I could help, get your website going. I could help get your marketing going. And they're like, sure, like you have this much time, this much extra time, bring your own stuff, go for it. We're not gonna pay you, like just go ahead and do it. And
Once again, taking a free opportunity.
I literally spent a year, like maybe 4 hours a day of learning, another 4 hours, extra hours of actually like building and designing and learning all these different things. And sure, I had somewhat affinity for it from my previous business, Fit Prep, but not to this degree.
Hmm.
And it was one of those things where like I saw the problem. I didn't really know how to do it, but I knew that I could learn. I just took the leap, and helped them out there. And now that's come back where now I'm helping them with social marketing. So back then where I wasn't getting paid, now I am getting paid and I don't even work for them anymore.
That's
But they're
that's
they're
beautiful.
paying they're paying me to like help them market because of that free value that I had. I created value for them at some point, and now it's coming back.
It's another thing that I say, you take that free opportunity, something better comes from it.
There's
It's
usually
so tried
always
and
something
true,
nice.
man.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I wanted to have you touch up on that,
No,
because
yeah.
that is such that is, there's so much value in that someone can take from that, to where it's like you're doing something that you're comfortable with, could have easily said no, but
Well,
you're
not
like,
even
hey,
presented it. I mean, they didn't even ask me. It was a matter of, like, this is a problem and I want this. I work for this business. I want this business to succeed because I work for it. Why would I work somewhere and want my workplace to do horribly? I want them
yeah,
to improve. And like, I kind of took on that ownership as just a regular employee. It's like I see these people every single day. I clock in here every single day, for 8 to 12 hours a day. Like I may as well claim some sort of ownership.
yeah,
Like,
you're it's a brand that's representing you, and you're like, I need to take ownership in this. This is representing me, and if no one else wants to do it, I'm going to do it.
right.
So
Some
back, so with the realty, what is that like with the day to day? Because with an ignorant mind like me, even as your homie, I I only see like certain things of like just showing a house. What are more like some of the day to day things that you do with that?
so this maybe not the most entertaining thing, but like here we go. For me, day to day is a lot of planning, reaching out to your sphere, reconnecting with people inside of your sphere. That could be done through many different ways, whether it be through social media, dropping in someone's DM, or giving them a call, shooting them a text, um, just reaching out to people and like checking up on their life. Um, just being a human. That's
Yeah.
something where I felt like a big period of my life, I became very robotic, very like desensitized, very like isolated, um, where I didn't want to communicate with people, didn't really care for anybody. And now being into real estate, I'm having to relearn all that and learn to communicate with people and learn to actually care, and
Yeah.
like genuinely show a care. Um, so that's something I've been doing a lot, is communicating with people from the past, checking up on them, seeing how I can help them, reconnecting with new people, reaching out to them, or that be through cold calling or social media followers. And then it's a matter of actually dealing with the clients, which they could take a lot of phone calls and a lot of driving around. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. And I only wanted you
And
to
then
talk about
creating
that.
content.
Yeah. And
That's
I
the big
wanted
one.
you to talk about that because it may be boring to some, but it's something that needs to be talked about. It's because so many people, how I think about it with music, they just see one just on stage DJing. They're like, oh, that's super cool. But there's so much more behind the scenes of it.
They don't see
And
you endlessly at night
and
mastering tracks, right? Like cooking up a beat.
mastering, just doing finding songs, or yeah, I mean, like with producing, that's a whole nother thing. But even with it, it reminds me of like all the people that I would message on Facebook, wherever, and talk to them about potential gigs, potential this and that, getting these no's, just constantly having to stay track with people. And once when I heard you doing that, of just staying connected with folks, it kind of re-sparked something in me that I almost forgot about to do, was to constantly stay in touch with people. That's very, very important, to have that personal connection.
Yeah, especially in today's social media, we may think that staying connected is just clicking on that little thumbs up, that little like text, right? Like the thing is that's become so saturated. So often, like we want to stand out, it's dropping a comment, even if you don't know the damn person, like we all have people added on Facebook and Twitter that like we don't know how the hell they got there, but
I'm a victim of
you guys
that.
been friends for the last 5 years. Maybe you met him one day at a bar. Who knows? But like, like this person's there, and it's you kind of you see them posting, they see you posting, they may like a thing here and there, but when's the last time you communicated with them? Like, when's the last time someone is posting some, negative things, or like, dude, every now and then, like I see someone post stuff about depression, right? Or like make a super dark post, man. And like, it'll be sharing someone else's content. So it's not even their own original content. Like they have to be in a state of mind to share some negative content and to even be prescribed to negative content. Like mostly, even if these people on a regular post, they get 10 likes. Whenever they post those negative posts, they'll get 0 or 1 or 2. Because people will notice that's a negative post and it's out of character, but they feel awkward and they just keep scrolling. Like, it takes a second to literally reach out to him, like, yo, you good? Are you good, bro? Like,
you good?
Like, that's literally it. Just, I think having that overall human side of things is something that a lot of us have lost. Or maybe not even lost, but just, I don't think we were trained on it. Or in my case, I'm training myself, like actually trying to do this stuff, trying to reach out, trying to say like, hey, dude, good job. Like, I feel like somewhere along the line, dude, I fucking forgot to speak to people.
And I think that's a lot of people too.
About real estate right now.
With a lot of people, you can get you'll get more of those good jobs, or hey, congrats, you just bought a house, blah 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 blah. But you don't get those people who, when they share something, you don't know if they're just doing it for attention or not. But you don't get those people that check up on someone on that human to connection.
Well, it's uncomfortable.
And that was something that I learned when we lost Josh. I remember seeing like a few Facebook posts from him that were kind of depressing, I guess, and just never bothered to reach out. And then next thing you know, he's gone. And it's kind of like, damn, man, like you obviously can't hold guilt towards yourself, but that was something that I learned, a hard life lesson that I learned at a pretty young age, to where I don't do it to everybody as much as I should, but it is something that I do when I do see it. If I'm willing to tell you congrats and I don't know you, I'm willing to just send you a message or a comment like, yo, you good?
Yep.
Even with now, like seeing a counselor a couple times a week, I become that person to where I see someone posting something sad on Facebook and they're like, I don't know who to talk to. I know it's cliche, bro. I'll comment, see a counselor.
Yeah.
Seriously, like see a counselor.
Yeah, I personally would love one. Like I think all of us, man, we battle with our demons inside and we throw in a mask for society. I think often like, you can't constantly be showing exactly what you're feeling.
Yeah.
Often you're going to be feeling like absolute garbage that day. You're going to be going through a depression wave. I call it like it's like a roller coaster. I like saying like winter or summer, right? Like whenever you're in winter is where your mind is playing games with you and it's kicking your ass. And like, that's time to calm down, like stay in and like absorb, really think about what's going on. But know that summer is coming. The seasons always change.
Yeah, and I think
whenever summer comes, be ready to explode.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that too. And I think what some people tend to forget on doing is just simply reach out to a friend, reach out to somebody. Like if it's really that bad, some people just like to sit there and marinate in their own like misery, and it's like, just call someone. FaceTime somebody, do whatever, to where it's like more than most of the time, when you do reach out to somebody, that will help. Just talking will
See, dude,
definitely help.
for some people though, man, like for some people it's an option. For some people it is not.
Which is the crazy
Myself,
thing. Yeah.
I will never burden someone with any sort of emotional duress I have. I could be going through the worst hell possible, and I would do my best to keep on a mask to where I don't feel like my fiance is burdened, where I don't feel like anybody knows what's going on, because the burden of knowing that someone else is worried about your burden for me
Yeah.
makes the problem worse. So
Yeah.
often, like for people like that, I mean, those are the people that usually like really go, right? That actually go all the way with hurting themselves. That's not an option. They refuse to do it. And like, yeah, I'm saying like at the times I have done it, it does help because it just brings into perspective. But I feel like there's got to be a better tool. There's got to be a better way to break out of it.
You want to know what that tool isn't? It's getting on social media more than most of the time.
Yeah. Especially when you start prescribing that algorithm will screw you over, buddy.
Screw you, bro. I got a question now that you even bring up that algorithm. You brought up when someone shares like a post that's not theirs, but it's negative. Do you think that someone like what's the right way to put this? Like, do you think that social media, whether if it's the platform itself or the person going on there and kind of doing it themselves, do you think that do you think part of it is just creating their own sadness, seeing these posts and sharing it, and then like kind of like non-consciously manifesting that sadness or depression?
I think, yeah, I mean, I think, honestly, I think tech does play a bit of a role into it. They see that things that people feel negative towards, they're more likely to engage with, whether that be by putting a frowny face, putting an angry face, or dropping a comment. Things that are, things like negative things build a better response in us, make more response from us. So
Yeah,
if you're building a platform that runs on engagement, it would make sense to push that to the forefront. I mean, there's a
I
reason
agree.
why you throw on the news station, any news station, and 99% of what you see is negative. Like, there's a reason that we're being
Oh
fed
God.
like negative propaganda, and it's people engage with it. People eat it up. And you know what happens when people eat it up? It's more it's more ad money. It's more funds coming
Clicks,
in.
more
It's more
more
money. And
everything.
exactly. So it's like, as bad as it sucks for these people that are catering to media or giving media to us to play into that, they're making more money, which allows them to like hire more people, and which fuels the economy. And it's honestly like there's goods and bads of it, man. I personally am so sick and tired of everything that we see in the news being negative.
Absolutely always
Everything, like
negative.
whether it's Fox or CNN or MSNBC, like 99% of it is pointing fingers over there, pointing fingers over there, like flaming this person, making fun of this person, or like just,
Hell, even
dude,
local news. Even local news.
yeah, like man, like we were just talking, like you were just telling me about how like a cop um responded to a call for a shoplifter, and he gets there and he sees a woman who was shoplifting to feed her family.
Correct.
And instead of incarcerating her, he went ahead and bought the groceries for her so that she can feed her family.
Yeah.
And it's, there's like 2 points of views for this. It's like, wow, that's a beautiful, heartfelt thing. And then there's, why would you do that? She's just going to do it again and expect the same result. I'll tell you what doesn't help, man. You put that lady in jail for that night. What happens to those kids? What
They
happens if
could
they don't have a
be
relative?
they could
Where
be
do they
going
go?
taken into CPS. I mean,
And where
that's
the hell does that go? You know, it's
and what does that create down the line as well?
exactly. It's such a complicated world we can do with so many different scenarios. But I feel that the more positive news we can bring, the more hope we can restore in humanity, and the more hope we can have for people to do better. And overall, I think people would do better that way. I was reading an article on about how a parole officer implemented empathy training to
Oh
all of his
wow.
parolees. Like he created this, he had years of experience doing the normal parole curriculum or whatever the hell you want to call it. And then for a series of years, he created this program, an empathy program, helping, you know, ex felons or, parolees learn about empathy, learn about, actually contributing to society and like to on people to person base. And he saw a massive decrease in returners and return offenders.
That's awesome.
And
So these people who are on parole, this is who he was training.
yes, he's a parole officer, and that was like part of the course that he would give to people to his parolees. Um, and he saw a massive spike from empathy training. And pretty much, what's empathy training, man? It seemed to me it's just being a human. That's what it sounds like, right? Like just being
Yeah.
a human, the same way you'd react to something that's happening, to your mother, you're able to apply that same emotion towards a stranger. That same
Huge.
care that,
Huge.
I can give to you in a conversation, I can give to this person I just met,
Yeah.
and I think that right there is a very, very powerful thing that many of us have forgotten because whether we prescribe to one side, we have all this damn tribalism of like, you have a preset thought of how you should react to a set event because of the political, media that you listen to. Like it will
Yeah.
determine the way you think about something before you even look into it. That's
Yeah.
happening all across the nation, man.
And it just seems a lot of people too that are like so married to their opinions,
Yeah. I
or
mean,
whether if it's like whichever side of politics people are on, everyone just seems so married to their opinions.
right.
Like whatever each side like has, it's like, oh, I'm on this side. I'm married to these opinions and thoughts. Oh, I'm on this side. I'm married to these opinions and thoughts. Like why? Why is it that you got to be married to those opinions? They can't or thoughts you can't they can't change or anything. Like it's just that's just something that kind of blows my mind is people being married
Well,
to their own thoughts and
it's
opinions.
it's a matter of because whenever you ask somebody, it's like, hey, are you blue or are you red? There is no like in between. Like the purple party is not really even spoken about, which is sad because I guarantee like a lot of people like probably listen to it. It'd probably suit a lot of people. But it's just it's one of those things, man, that I think a lot of our lives have been laid out for us. A lot of how we should think has been laid out for us. There's a lot of things that we say and that we do because someone has pretty much trained us to do it. And
Yeah.
if you do it, you don't fucking feel good about it. Excuse my language, but you just keep doing it. And I think it's something that it's worth checking every now and then, seeing like
Yeah.
why you think this way. Is that actually your opinion? Does it conflict with what your actual morals are? Like completely checking yourself, fully identifying yourself and like creating your own identity. I think is extremely valuable.
Yeah. And I
I
think
think it
part
needs
of
to
the
be done.
problem, I think part of the problem too is just like we talk about like the news stations and stuff like that. They you just constantly get these one-sided opinions on
Right.
whoever you watch. And if you're continuously watching either station, you're not even thinking for yourself at the end of the day.
Right.
You see this stuff on the news and you don't even bother to see like if that's even real or if something was said and it was taken out of context.
Yeah.
It's just completely mind blown to me. And when you sent me that link earlier of what's the website, Good News?
Yeah, it was good. Let me see here. It was Good News Network. This
See,
one right here, right?
this is something that should be like, this should be channel 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should, there, there's no reason why something like this on whether if it's for, you know, Amazon, the rainforest, stuff like that. There's no reason why any of that shouldn't be promoted more.
No, absolutely, man. This is the beautiful thing about the web, right? There's the thing is, dude, like the internet has created such an awesome opportunity for us that we could literally filter our entire lives.
Hey, let me grab my charger real quick.
Okay. Just wait a second here, guys.
Lesson learned. I'll keep my laptop on the charger next time.
There we go.
What were you saying?
That's honestly one of like the most beautiful things that the internet has brought. Like, sure, it has all these different negatives, right? We're sitting here complaining about like how the news, dude, no one's forcing us to watch the news. It's just thrown in our face, and we're too lazy to filter it. Like, there's so many settings and options to where you will never see that stuff if you don't want to.
Mm.
And
I did that on Twitter.
Right. And that's honestly a really nice thing that we can actually do. Like, if we put in that effort, we could go out and like break free of the default setting, which is fueled to, feed into negativity. And we could have things like this be our, home screen whenever we load up Google. It's like, boom, Good News Network. Like, awesome, dude. Like, like, heck yeah. Like, wow. New York City begins electrifying its garbage truck fleet. Sweet. Like,
sweet.
Yeah. Like, what the hell? Like, I don't care. But that's better than seeing like, Joe Biden slips going up. I don't give a shit if he slipped going up. Like, what? Why the hell would I care about that? Yeah, it's extremely
even
funny, man.
Even the one story that's on there about like the family who was in the hotel quarantine and they built a dinosaur out of to-go boxes.
Right. Like,
I would rather see that than 99.9% of things that are on the news, because it does nothing for me. If it does nothing for me, I would rather have something that's going to make me laugh and be like, oh, whoa, that's awesome. They turned a negative into a positive. Like, you love to see it.
Yeah. So
that's funny. Yeah, that's something that so many people should think about doing. And even if it's like social media is your thing, like, I think the biggest thing that I did recently was going on Twitter, going to the settings, and just literally typing a whole bunch of words out that frankly are a whole bunch of political things.
Yeah.
And it filters that out for me, and I don't see it no more. It is huge.
You're pretty much creating, like, you're kind of just creating your own bubble, right? Like, you're already dealing with negativity in your everyday life. When you go on to socialize with people and you're trying to build a business, the last thing you want is something that could cause you to catch a case. Because depending on whatever side you land on, dude, like, there's no need to be going through your phones here and it being a portal of negativity. Like, that's not the purpose. That's not where it needs to be going.
Yeah, and each person has the opportunity to filter that out if they want, like,
yeah,
instead of going on there and getting caught up in all the negative stuff, you still might see it, but there are ways around to not seeing as much of it. It just takes a little bit of effort.
Independent mind, baby. Independent mind. But dude, hey, man, I say we kind of wrap it up there. We've gone extremely over what we originally said we were going to be aiming for. So as much as I enjoy our conversation and keeping it going indefinitely,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think it's a little long here. So we should
Yeah.
probably wrap it up.
Yeah, we'll continue on next week. And yeah, for people who are listening, stay tuned for the new episode next week. And as we always say, stay hungry, stay focused, and we'll see you next week.
Take care.